Hi, everybody. Bobby Ogilvy, project manager and professional coach. So, today's question: why do startups not scale? And this is a slightly different question than one why do startups fail? So, just to recap, why do startups fail? It's because they don't get money in, or they don't get enough money. Why do they not scale? Um, Related, but so it is partly a money question in that it could be that they don't get enough money in. But let's assume you're at the point where your revenues can meet your expenses. So at least at simplest level, it's sustainable. You might not be high margin yet, but hopefully you have the potential that you could if you sold more. So that's part of it, is that they need to focus more on sales, and that the high margin of those sales coming in are what allow them to expand and grow and hit new markets, get more market share, right? And so then much of their job right now, because they do have a product and they do have a way to make money, and it's like they're just not making enough of it. So that's why they fail to scale. They are not good at doing that. If you think of this from an organizational perspective, you now need CEOs, you need C-level people, you need directors and stuff, you need the top leadership to be realizing, yeah, we have a working product, we need to get better and better at selling it. Which isn't to say your product could still very much get better and do other things, but your competitive advantage is now kind of being leveraged by how quickly you can get into market and do this. Part of this is also the time battle to say that it's easier than ever to duplicate products or for new people to enter a market space. So something may have been a blue ocean just 6 months ago where there's no other competitors, and you made this new market from scratch, and now there's already half a dozen competitors 6, 8, 9 months later, right? It's just the nature of how quickly we can make and do things at this point, right? So you really need to get to market fast and try to sell. And part of that, even as an individual organizational strength, is to say that you're an organization that knows how to sell. So in relation to the other video about why startups fail, one of the gap areas in the money sense is that maybe you've made your product, but if you never were able to sell it, it shows you may have been too concerned with making this product and learning how to sell this product. So really, this is in some sense an extension of that. Your organization needs to get really good at selling. Other things could have to do with you want to think of other. You've probably heard the term verticals, but it's like other markets you can sell this in, other ways you can use this. Use this innovation, use this product, service, technology. It could be about hitting new geographic markets, so opening offices in new places that let you sell in other areas, or depending on how digital your product is, you might not have to have a ton of new offices because again, you can sell it all over the world. But how do you port it in enough languages? How do you make it accessible to enough people, or enough different web browser extensions? Or another common one would be to say software integrations, right? Software plugins or browser extensions. Because they are tapping into other people's market share, right? So one of the reasons, I shouldn't say Facebook is so popular, but because things like Facebook are so popular, right? Everything related to social networks always wants to integrate with Facebook or Google or blah or blah blah, right? And it's like that in every kind of area of system tools, right? And so you want to think of, one way to think about how you could scale and get new customers is to think, okay, our product does A. There are other things that our types of clients might need, like B, C, D, E, and F. We can't do them directly, but we can integrate with the people that do, and we might be able to then bring things together, or make something faster or more efficient or easier by doing that. So now, given that our product does not do B, C, D, and E, we should integrate with these people. So you might say something like, well, our product does better task management. Boop, we do A. But we don't do time tracking, our timesheets, and we don't do proper agile sprints, or we don't do project Gantt, and we don't do Gantt charts, and we don't do blah and blah, right? But these other 2 dozen companies in these different areas, products in these other areas do that. So then we should develop something to integrate with these, because now all these people that were just over here, they might now see you and say, oh, there's this cool new task management app. I might try them out. Well, they already integrate with the system I use, so that's great, right? Those are all bit by bit ways you can increase the markets which you can now sell to, right? And now we're kind of getting into marketing tactics. But again, the thing behind this is that you need to get better at selling. this is probably the case from the get-go, because my assumption is that in the startup end of things, it tends to be that the product is rather high margin. But if there's something you need to do in that sense, it could be that you need to increase margins. I mean, pure startups, it's like they're producing a new product or service which adds value. And then large organizations, medium and large organizations, tend to be focused on not so much new stuff, but efficiency of how they get value, which is to say they want to maximize profit, they want to minimize expenses, and make it as efficient as, process improved as possible, right? So it could be that you're starting to get into that, but that is a rather different battle. Typically, that tends to be large enterprise who's most concerned with that. I'm assuming you're probably still, you're past the kind of initial startup stage, but you're still on the how many markets can I hit. So that's what you just need to be thinking, right? How can I hit as many markets as possible? I've thought about this in this sector. Is there a way to hit this, and this sector? If I don't have the capacity to do this, can I make partnerships in these areas? Can I license it to people who will then sell it in these areas? Are there ways to reduce the price or make a smaller scaled down version that can hit a smaller hidden market so that I can hit more people beneath my current price point or that were somehow not accessible before? You could also think of it as a competition battle, which are like, what things can I do to make it to retain my customers or make it very hard for someone to compete against me, right? That actually starts to get into disruptive innovation, because one of the kind of I think I probably mentioned some of my videos before. There's an infrastructure need, which means big layout of capital, but also like there's some new accessible thing which you're kind of empowering people to be able to have access to, right? Part of the nature of that from a competitive standpoint is that it's hard to compete against, right? So if you can develop some service you can sell for $2 where the market needs to sell it, your competitors need to sell it for $30, you are so drastically much cheaper and efficient, you can totally disrupt that market, right? Which is to say, once you get a client, they have very little reason why they would go with a competitor, right? You really cinch that in. Now, how would you do that? You'd need some pretty breakthrough innovations and efficiencies, right? Anything that's going to increase your market share and get get the money in, help you expand into more markets. That's really how companies scale. It is a hard fight, and in some sense it is a quantitative fight, because this is also when your organization is going from kind of art to science. It's in those early stages of starting to processify, and it might become less about the new, novel, amazing product and more about, oh, here are all the cool new uses I hadn't considered before of this product, right? This is how you want to be thinking, and you want people which are empowered to, go forth and expand and sell this cool, awesome thing you've made and carry that vision forward. That's it. So I hope this means that you guys are able to scale your businesses and organizations a bit better. Again, a note from Les McEwen: companies don't have to get bigger, because it requires a shift in culture and how you organize things. You're allowed to stay at a certain size, and you will also naturally have strengths which gear you, best specialize you for certain types of problems and size organizations and not others, right? So there is no problem in saying, I'm this size, I like this size, I don't want to get bigger, and knowing that and clearly doing that. But again, you don't want to be doing that falsely in terms of saying, people are telling you you should be growing, you're saying you want to be growing, but you actually don't want to be growing. That's kind of deceptive and sabotagey. But there are, but that could mean, maybe a bit more conscious use case would be, yes, I have the 30-person engineering firm that I've, made in my own two hands over the past 15 years. I want, now I'm getting an offer to get acquired and join a 800-person engineering firm. Should I do it? Well, that's really a question for you, because it's going to be a very different organization that you would work in if you get acquired, right? So do you want to or not? That's up to you, right? And back to this as this market scaling question, I have this cool product or service. Should I sell it to these people in these other geographic markets, or license it to verticals which I'm not able to hit myself? Those are questions for you. Or just increase my staff a whole bunch more so I can execute and sell these people directly. These are your own strategy questions, right? What do you think? What do you think the right answer is, and why? That's enough for now. I'm Robert Ogilvie, project manager and professional coach. Hope you guys learned something. I'll talk to you soon.